Alright guys, so today we're going to be talking about how to install the AF Dynamics cold air intake on a 2018 Dodge Charger Scat Pack or any of them in this body style. So we're going to be replacing the stock airbox right there with the AF Dynamics, which is a cheap but does the same thing, cold air intake. So I'll show you the tools that we need and we'll get right into it. Alright, so here are the tools that you're going to need. You're going to need a screwdriver with either the exact tip or an interchangeable tip, and this is the S2 Phillips head 3. Okay, well it focused earlier, so that's cool. But it's a Phillips head 3 S2. I guess that's because it's this more flat style, which gets into the factory intake screws to take the intake off to change your filter or whatever. I think this is like 1/4 inch or whatever drive socket to fit these smaller sockets, which is a 7mm and an 8mm. I know I'm really close, but so you have a 7mm and 8mm sockets for the rest of the clamps and everything. So we'll go ahead and get started. Alright guys, so before we get started, we're going to go ahead and remove our air temp sensor, which is plugged in through this cable. I've already put it into the aftermarket AF Dynamics cold air intake right here. You got to watch that because I did break the little rubber gasket, went out and bought a new one, so that's in there. So we're going to go ahead and start by removing these clamps, which are the 8mm, I believe. Okay, so you're going to start by removing these two. Actually, realistically, you just need to undo this one right here. This one van clamp, so you just loosen it up, get it loose. Then you have these 6 screws that go around, or 3 screws I mean, that go around 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. So you go ahead and remove those with your S2 Phillips head 3. Lift up the entire box. Now, one other thing that you do want to do is go ahead and take off your valve cover, as previously mentioned in my whatever video it was. I showed these Scat Pack. This is your powered by SRT cover. Ta-da! Alright, and then you want to pull off this hose. Then you pull this completely off. Alright, so now we have a, I believe, 8mm screw here. Yep, 8mm screw here to hold the box on. So we'll go ahead and take it. Now we can look into the engine bay, and you see here it actually has a fender induction, I guess you could say, intake system, which all the air from the intake box comes from this hole. So I thought that was interesting. This is just a mounting hole, which I have scratched up, sadly. Touch-up paint would cover that up, you wouldn't even know. So we're going to go ahead and grab our intake tube. Actually, we put this on last. So you're going to thread this in. You're going to thread this pipe in and put that in like I had said already. Then you're going to assemble your, box, I guess you could say, with filter on it, which has an adapter piece on the back right there. Let's go ahead and toss this in. just did these two because these were already these were ready to be put on this side and tightened down. That way whenever I get into this stage, all I have to do is just come in here and tighten these two down on the outside. They don't have to be too terribly tight, but I like to make them somewhat tight so they don't make any plans to be coming off or whatever. That way I don't intake any dirty air. Let's make sure those are snug. Well, kind of snug. Okay. Might as well check this one. I did install this at 12 o'clock at night one time, but I'm just going back to it for the video. So there's that one, and then we'll go ahead and put this one on. Maybe. Alright, so now we're going to take our hose that we had adapted down from, I think, 1 inch to probably 1/2 inch, if I had to make a guess. So this goes on right here next to your oil cap. And then the smaller tube goes onto this little threaded 90. Be sure to apply some opposite force just so you don't snap this little plastic piece. And then you're going to want to reconnect your air temp sense and then your valve cover. In case you're wondering why I call it a valve cover, because this is your valve cover with the spark plugs on it, and then you have a cover covering that. I guess technically you call it an engine cover, but nah, valve cover. It's a little bit more interesting. Then this just snaps back into place, of course. You gotta line up two little things, and then you just push straight down most of the time, just like that. And our install is 100% done. So double check everything, make sure everything's tight. All these screws, the air intake screw, this screw, got the mass airflow or the air temperature sensor, and then this tube is installed. So alright guys, so I figured I'd show you the catch can install since it's very simple. So you're gonna have this tube which goes from up here to this 90, which then goes back into the intake manifold. Basically you're gonna install your Z bracket to a bolt right there, and it's gonna have this clip in it. You just pull that out with whatever you would like to pull it out with. And then you install this, you do the double spacer, install the nut and the Z bracket over to your catch can, and then you cut your tubing to length, and then yeah, that's pretty much it. So this little tube comes out, it just pulls right out, and you put your Z bracket on. Catch can should be attached to the Z bracket already. Put your tubing on, and that's pretty much it. So that's very simple install. That's why it was just a weird transition into this from the cold air intake. But I'm pretty sure that would conclude this video. If you have any questions or would like to see something else with the taser, feel free to let me know. But yeah, I'll catch you guys later.